you can hear me loud and clear, go ahead and type in the chat box. I am excited for day 2. Awesome. Keep it coming. You can be excited for day 2 if you were there for day 1, or you watch the replay of the day 1 and you experience a transformation. So, that's you have your notebooks and your pens ready to take some notes. Awesome. For people following on YouTube, can you type day 2 in the comment section? Let me be sure that our audio is good on YouTube and on Facebook. All right. For those who actively participated in day 1 yesterday, how was day 1? Can you describe day 1 in one word? If you participated or you followed the replay, how was day 1 yesterday? All right, somebody says awesome, nice. Just one person. All right. That's so good. That's so good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. We are going to proceed with day 2 of our convention so far. If you're here for the first time, we are having the Young Adults Convention, which is a program on the Professionals and Entrepreneurs Fellowship, just like an arm of the organization to specifically serve and address the young adults in the community, because we have members in the community who are still in the university, some who recently graduated, or some who are just young between the ages of 18 and 25. That is the target of the Young Adult Convention, although we have participants who are older. Nothing wrong with that, but that is a primary audience that we have been targeting in this program to serve and to contribute in who they are becoming. And this is going to be something frequent. Funny enough, it was today I noticed that today was yesterday, for those who are in Cameroon, it was the National Youth Day in Cameroon. This is a coincidence that the Young Adult Convention was happening within the Youth Week, as we call it in Cameroon, and of course the Youth Day. All right. For those who have been members of the organization for a while, if my voice is sounding strange, I caught a cold. So cold is changing my voice, but the ministry must go on. Impact must be created. All right. God is so good. God is so good. Get ready to experience some transformation as we get into this. We are in day 2 of the Young Adult Convention. You can also call it the Next Gen, convention. And we have been looking at Mission 30. So, especially since we are targeting young adults, those who are between the ages of 18 and 25, according to the international age group for young adults, I term this Mission 30, and the idea and the heart posture behind this is to begin to teach and train these people here on how to start developing that voice, that capability, that ability, and that progress that can enable them to be people of influence and leadership and impact and results and progress. Because many a times, like I said, I still do, but let me say between the age of, let's say, 26 and let's say 30, I extensively spoke across youth conferences, youth summits, youth events across the African continent especially, and even internationally in other continents like Europe and so on. But a big part of it was across the African continent. So, and many a times when you go to those youth conferences, you're going to meet a lot of, people at the age of 40, 35, and they are still finding their way. And many a times in many of those summits and conferences, the organizers will always organize a one-on-one meeting and, make the speaker session and so on. And sadly, when I talk to many people after my sessions, majority, when they meet me one-on-one, they talk about regrets, right? One of my first book I wrote, the title of that book is How to Redefine Yourself for Success. The reason I wrote that book was because after I spoke in a conference in Accra in Ghana, a mother came to me, and there was a young lady with this mother, and this mama told me, and in her own words, she said, I wish I heard the things I heard today when I was your age, pointing at me. And then she said, but I am happy that my daughter was in this conference with me, right? And this summit doesn't mean that I have it all figured out. Many of the things that I've spoken about and the things that I would have loved to talk about if we had more days, there are things that I started learning also later, let's say in my late 20s. I'm now in my early 30s, and I'm still learning, right? It's not as if I have it all figured out. Nobody does. But there is a mindset that when you have, you consistently begin to progress as far as your life is concerned. Today, I want to talk on 6 life domains that if you begin to conquer before you clock 30 or by 30 plus and above, your life is going to make a difference. So 6 life domains to start conquering before 30. Now, this is something I have been researching and documenting and studying about for some years. I have more than 15 of them, but I cannot talk about all of them right now. I'm going to talk about 6 critical ones that I believe that if any young adult, somebody who is between the ages of 18 and 25 and beyond that, if you pick these 6 areas of your life and make it a mission of yourself, that you see these areas, I will not be ignorant about these areas. I will not allow these areas to conquer me. These are areas that if you don't conquer them, they will conquer you. And the more you grow older, because you did not conquer these areas, life is going to look as if life is not fair to you, right? And these things are very important to understand. And like I keep saying from yesterday, your 20s are for conquest. Your 20s are not for you to be perfect per se. Nobody gets a perfect life at 20, not even in your 30s. Nobody does. But there are some things that when you begin to pay the price and get it right, as you grow older, your life only gets right. Same as there are some things that if you don't get right as you grow older, your life only experience more challenges and more difficulties. All right, like I said yesterday, in this life, when you're consuming something, that thing is either conforming you to live your best life, or that thing is either destroying you and enabling you to live the worst life that you can ever imagine. So, what are these 6 life domains that I want to challenge you to wear a warrior mindset, a warrior lifestyle, and make it a point to yourself that I am going to conquer these domains and they will not conquer me as a young person. And of course, older people, if you find yourself in any of these areas, you need to, it's not too late to start adjusting and making sure that you make the best out of your life. The first area to conquer is what I like to call attention fragmentation. Attention fragmentation. In a more basic word, you can call it distraction. And you see, the weight of distractions we have today, my mom, who is about 60 years old, did not have that when she was 20 years old. So what I am contending against as distraction, or what my sisters are contending against as distractions, my mother at their age, at our age, did not have that amount of, distraction, right? And this is one thing that many people don't yet understand, how weighty. how valuable attention is when it comes to who you're going to become in destiny. I was reading a leadership book, and this leader, this writer, said something powerful that it has not left me since. He said power is equals to, the equal to sign, right? He said power equals sustained attention applied to high leverage activities over time. Please write in the chat box if you have heard this. He said power equals to sustained attention applied to high leverage activities over time. So he was basically linking the relationship between power and attention. So he was saying that if you want to become powerful, if you can sustain attention and you apply that attention to high leverage activities over time, you're going to become a powerful person. And I was like, that is so good. That's so powerful. And you see, I started thinking about this. You see, I am from a very humble family, right? When, in terms of, like, when you say humble, not, you can even say middle class. We were not too poor, but we were not, right? So, but you see, at some point in my life, I started entering rooms and mingling with, you know, powerful people that you can imagine, from senators to ministers, former presidents, ambassadors, what you can name. And the only thing that got me into those rooms was what I could bring into the room in terms of expertise. Nothing else, basically. And as a Christian, of course, I believe in the grace of God, the mercy of God, the favor of God, and all of that, right? And these things did not happen overnight. But you see, like I said in one of the sessions, one of the best things that happened to me was that in let's say 2012, 2011, 2013, I started making some strong decisions about my life. And that happened because of some books that I started reading, right? And one of those decisions was that, let's say in 2012, I always say this, between 2012 and 2016, I had the habit of going to bed at 11 p.m. and waking up at 2 a.m. And I would study from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. It's as if I was on rampage. There were days I would just read like for 8 hours consistently. So, and like I always say, I used to love movies. I was addicted to movies. When I came across Prison Break, I watched Prison Break for 2 days. I did not eat, I did not sleep. That was how addicted I was to movies, right? So, but when I started getting myself exposed to some things, the attention I was giving to things that are not high leverage, when I converted that attention and I was applying that attention to high leverage activities, over time, something began to change. You see, so this expert said, power equals sustained attention applied to high leverage activities over time. That's how powerful attention is. And that's why it is important to conquer distraction. The more fragmented your attention in life is, the more there's a high chance that as a young person, you're going to struggle in the later years of your life. Why? Because everything that most people are living in their 40s and 50s and 60s is as a result of the foundation that they did in their 20s and in their 30s. You see, and in our generation, one of the biggest problems that we have is that most people are struggling to build what they call deep focus capacity. Many people right now, they cannot practice deep focus for more than 1 hour, even 15 minutes. They must touch something. They must touch their phone. They cannot sit and focus for a long time. And this is one of the biggest problems for most people who are under 30 years old. They have not developed that deep focus capacity as a result of the kind of environment that we are growing and we are part of. So the first area, the first domain in your life you have to conquer as a young adult is conquer attention fragmentation, conquer distraction. Because if you do not control your attention, listen to me, you cannot build anything that will stand the test of time. Remember the quote I gave you. It is sustained attention that you apply to high leverage activities over time that will change your life. So if you do not control your attention, you're going to struggle to build anything that matters in the society. If you don't begin to train yourself to hold focus long enough, if you cannot hold focus long enough to wrestle with complex problems, to think about things, you will struggle to produce things that can make you a voice in your generation. Many people in this dispensation, in this generation, cannot hold focus long enough and wrestle on ideas, think on something for 2, 3, 4 hours, even 30 minutes. Many people struggle to do that. They must touch their phone and watch a reel, see something on Facebook, on Instagram, then they come back again. You see, so if you don't conquer distraction, you don't conquer attention fragmentation, it will conquer you. It will conquer you. Because what is attention really? You see, attention is not time, they say. Attention is directed. I want you to avoid to use this word, but attention is directed cognitive energy. Like attention is how you direct your mind, the energy of your mind to focus on something. That is attention. When you're watching a movie, attention, cognitive energy is going into it. As you're listening to me, your cognitive energy is feeding on what I'm saying. That's attention. And anybody who gets your attention is either enabling you to become better or taking something from you. Let me give you an example. Two people can sit on a laptop in the same room, in the same house, right? Listen to me. If you understand this, it will change your life forever. Two people, two young adults, two 25-year-olds can sit on a laptop in the same house for 3 hours, right? After 3 hours on sitting on a laptop, listen to me, one will produce a strategy or one will read a soft copy of a book and document lessons that will make them better in destiny. Another will sit for that same 3 hours on the same laptop and watch 3 episodes of a movie. The same time, same equipment, same location, but different attention integrity. So the outcome of what they're going to produce after 3 hours will be different. Why? Because one was directing cognitive energy towards something that can enable him or her to produce strategy or create something that is relevant for destiny. Another is using the same cognitive energy to consume entertainment. That is why when your attention is fragmented, when distraction is loud in your life, your intelligence is going to degrade. As simple as that. There are many people that when they left school, let's say university, their intelligence level kept on dropping down and down and down. Why? Because their attention is fragmented. You see, let me give examples of, I'm spending so much time on this point and I have 5 other points. Okay, examples, listen to me. Because I have spent time to study attention. I've read books, I've read research papers, because this generation, for the next even 100 years, if you don't understand how to use attention to your advantage, I even have a book I published on how to build, manage, and monetize attention. Somebody's making money out of your attention. You see, let me give an example of somebody right now who is heavily distracted or who has attention fragmentation. Listen to me. If you're 25 years plus, this is my personal opinion based on some research papers I have read, right? So this is my conclusion. Listen to me. If you are 25 years old, no, 20 years old plus, right? And you cannot sit and read 20 pages of a book uninterrupted, you have distraction problem. You have attention fragmentation. You cannot sit still, focus, deep focus. Minimum 20 pages of a book, reading uninterruptedly, even taking notes. Something is wrong with your attention span, and you should be worried. Number 2, you cannot sit like that and think about something important for 45 minutes plus without checking your phone, without being distracted about something that is not even necessary at the time. Your attention is fragmented. You cannot sit like that, just think, get a pen, get a paper, read something, think, calculate, design, conceptualize. If you cannot do that for 45 minutes and above without touching your phone, without seeing a video on social media, there are some people right now, if you ask them right now, within the day, to switch off their phones and focus, they're going to have anxiety problem. It's going to be a challenge. If that's you, type I relate in the chat box. Don't be shy. We're in a small, big family compound here, right? So another example of people who have attention fragmentation is that they feel restless in silence. They cannot just sit silent for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not pure silence. And they ponder. There are many people that they are afraid of their own silence. They are afraid. Let me ask you a question. If I monitored your attention for 30 days, will I conclude after 30 days that you are serious about your future? If I monitor your attention for 30 days, at the end of 30 days, what would be my conclusion about your future? See, I'm telling you, in this our present age and time, if I study where your attention goes and how you manage your attention, somebody can almost 80% chance predict your destiny, how you're going to end up if you don't change. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat box in the comment section, how fragmented is your attention? 10 and 10 means it's too fragmented. 1 means it is not fragmented. I am very focused as a person. Type in the chat box on a scale of 1 to 10. How fragmented is your attention? Give me some feedback. This is family meeting. All right, don't be shy. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to push ourselves to become better as young people. The purpose of this young adult convention is that after this program, 10 years after we met, your life is a beautiful testimony because some things change in your life. All right. Now, this question is not random. Anybody who is, let's say, 5 and below, right? There are some things that, because of your high attention level, there are some things that we should see in your life. For example, like your level of competence, your level of expertise in what you're doing. Your finances should be better. Why? Because where attention goes, focus follows and value changes. So your finances should be growing steadily because you're paying attention on what matters, on what I call high leverage activities. And there are many other indicators I can share here with you. You see, but that's good. The purpose is not for condemnation. The purpose is not to make you feel as if you are doing too well. The purpose is to challenge you to see that that is very important and you cannot allow it to rule you. That's why I said 6 areas of your life that you have to conquer if you're going to rise and be a voice when you clock 30 as a young adult. Number 2, we're talking on the topic, the 6 life domains to start conquering before 30. The 6 life domains to start conquering before 30. Number 1, we said conquer fragmented attention or distraction. Number 2, conquer unchecked appetites. Conquer unchecked appetites. In last year, I read a lot of things, but one of the biggest chunk of material I read last year was about the various kings and their empires. I read a lot about empire kings, military generals. Like in the last 500 years, I went like the Roman Empire, the Spanish Empire. It's all of these empires. I was reading about them, and I was focusing on their leaders and their military generals. And one thing that there's even an article I wrote, which I titled "Appetite That Destroy Kings." Appetite that destroys kings. Because as I was reading from that article, as I was reading those materials, I saw that, for example, there were many military generals in their generation that they were brilliant generals, high-level tacticians, military intelligence top-notch, leadership top-notch. But many of these leaders, three top major greeds, 3 top major appetites destroyed them. Number 1, sexual appetite. Number 2, alcohol. Number 3, greed for money. So many top military generals and empire leaders, many of them ended up and they were defeated because of these top 3 appetites. So when you begin to study, you're going to see that what destroys kings, influential people, potential people, is not desire. Desire on its own is not bad. But you see, desire without governance is a problem. Desire without control is a problem. Human beings run on drives. If you don't have desire, you don't have drive, you need to go to a hospital. Every human being should have desire and drive, have desire for a better life, desire for a better car, a better house, even go to a better country, better financial status, right? Desire to have a good marriage. There's drive to become better. And these desires on their own, they have no problem. But there is a big problem if you have desire without governance, desire without self-control, drive without all of that. For example, if you don't have sexual drive, something is medically wrong with you. But you see, that sexual drive without governance, without self-control, without you being in charge, there's something wrong with that. And if you are going to be a young adult as you begin to grow, one thing that you have to conquer is unchecked appetite. Appetite on its own has no problem, but appetite unchecked will destroy you. If you don't check your appetite for food, you're going to have health problems. You're going to be, begin to get too fat. Many things can go wrong in your body because of that. So appetite is good, but appetite unchecked is a problem. So one thing that you must conquer as a young adult, if you're going to rise and be a voice, be who God called you to be, you must conquer unchecked appetite. What is the appetite in your life that is unchecked? Examples of appetite that in this generation you have to conquer: sexual drive, right? Appetite for alcohol, appetite for status, what they call status hunger. You want to be big, popular at all costs. There's nothing wrong with having that desire, but if it is unchecked, there's a problem. You can end up doing things you're not supposed to do. Like there are ladies who go to the extent of having half-naked pictures on social media to gain more likes. That is unchecked appetite for status hunger, for popularity. Appetite for pleasure seeking. Every human being loves pleasure, but if that appetite is unchecked, it's going to destroy you. Appetite for comfort, craving for too much comfort. You don't want problems at all. That's most people get into. There are some people that their depression is because they crave too much comfort. They were not trained. They don't understand that life will throw things at you, and you have to stand up and face those things and rise. They want everything to be comfortable and perfect. It's an appetite. Some people is appetite for emotional validation. They're always seeking validation. They don't have confidence, in themselves. If people don't validate them that, oh, they look beautiful or handsome and all of that, they'll feel as if they're not living. It's an appetite for external validation. Check consumption appetite. Under this, I'm talking about food and media especially. You see, so be careful of unchecked appetite, because if it is unchecked, I guarantee you, it is destroying you in one way or another. When you read historical accounts of great leaders that many of them did not end up well, you're going to notice that what destroyed many of those kings and influential people was appetite without restraint. You see, appetite without restraint. For example, you see, as human beings, and especially in this particular age group, youthful age group, is the age group that you're very, very sexually active. Your sexual energy is too high, right? When you're between 18 and maybe let's say 40 or so, right? Your sexual energy is too, and guess what? Sexual energy has been validated and proven to be one of the strongest biological drives. There's even a book I'm reading, I was reading one time on how to redirect your sexual drive into your goals. Because sexual energy is one of the strongest biological drives. You see, and When unmanaged, when you don't understand how to manage that sexual energy, you're not in charge of it, it will fragment your focus. It will weaken your discipline. Show me a young person that the focus is fragmented. Discipline is not there. That person will struggle to have a future. You see, for some people, it creates this cognitive load. I read a document one time, and they were proving that people that struggle with, you know, they are sexually active with so many partners, and or they struggle with pornography, the more they do that, the more their cognitive ability is being attacked. And that's true. You see, for some people, this unmanaged sexual drive is going to shift your motivation towards validation instead of purpose. There are many young guys that, when you sit guys when they're having discussion, they feel validated based on how they can have sex with a woman. How stupid can people be? But those are discussions that happen among guys. Same for ladies. So that is your motivation is shifted from purpose towards that. I was reading a book, and somebody said that sexual promiscuity drains psychological authority. And one thing that the author highlighted was that there are many students that in high school, in secondary school, they were very brilliant. When they got to the university and they were exposed to life and they got involved into sexual activities, the once intelligent young lady or young girl or young guy was no longer that intelligent because it drains that psychological, strength from you, and it adds some cognitive load as far as your psychology is concerned, and it affects your level of intelligence and so on. You see that? And apart from that, one thing that appetite does is that appetite makes you to consume without producing. People with unchecked appetite, they are very good consumers, very limited or zero producers. People that have appetite for alcohol, they are always drinking. That's consumers, right? People that have appetite for, let's say, they have unchecked appetite in terms of social media content. So they have this endless content consumption. They don't have the time to sit and write good content and produce good videos that others can watch on social media. You are just a good consumer. You are not a producer. Anybody with high unchecked appetite is a consumer and not a producer. For guys, example, and even ladies, some ladies, but for guys, is gaming without limits. Many guys can play games for hours. That's consumption without production, because you cannot be consuming game and then producing at the same time. The people who develop those games are not playing the way you play because they are producing more games for you to consume. Entertainment heavy lifestyle. You know every latest TV show. You watch all the latest movies on social media or on YouTube or whatever platform that you use. Massive consumption without production. People with unchecked appetite, they're also good at buying more than building. They buy new dresses, new shoes. They want to look good at all costs to please people. You see that? And those are things that you need to be careful about. Let me tell you something. If you are in your early 20s, late 20s, and if you are not doing activities that enable you to create something, to build something, to produce something, you are preparing yourself for something much more challenging. Because building is a muscle. Production is a muscle. You see that? And you train yourself in that building, in that creation, and so on. And production gives you leverage in life. There are many people that, in terms of consumption and production, their life ratio is 80% consumption. Some people is even 90% consumption and 10% production. If you are living like that, you are training yourself for dependency. If you cannot be a voice of influence and impact if you are not producing something. Produce something in your industry. Be a contributor. Be a producer. Be a creator. If not, you're training yourself for dependency in future. Listen to me. I hope I'm going to have time to finish all these points. Listen to me. I have to say this. I have to say this. If you want to train someone, if you want to prevent someone from rising before 30, do the following to them. If you're going through any of these, better just start repenting and change your life. If anybody wants to prevent you, stop you from being a voice when you clock 30 and above, I'm talking to those who are young adults right now, right? And maybe those who are 30 plus, you can see these signs in your life, but listen to me carefully. See, these are things I have studied, read research, tried a few things about this, right? If you want to prevent yourself, if you want to prevent someone from rising in destiny, you want, let's say, a young adult, somebody is 20 years old, 21 years old right now, and you want to prevent them, stop them from being a voice when they clock 30 and above, make sure they're doing the following. Number one, keep them sexually distracted. Let them be having boyfriend, girlfriends, things here and there. Number two, keep them very entertained. Let them be heavily involved in watching every movie that comes out. Number three, keep them overstimulated about things happening in life, social trends, trending things on social media. Let them be overstimulated about those things. Every dance challenge, they're doing it. Let them be part of things like that. Number four, keep them emotionally reactive. That means they are not emotionally intelligent. They're emotionally reactive. Any little thing makes them angry or makes them happy. They are not in charge of their emotions. Number five, keep that person to consume more than producing. Keep them consuming. Let them begin to consume. Do all the things I said. Watch more movies. Consume more social media content. Consumption. Stop them from trying to write articles. Stop them from trying to read books and summarize the meaning. Stop them from recording videos about industry matters and posting on social media. Stop them from things like that. You're going to keep them dependent for the rest of their lives. These are things that will make many young people to be talented, but with no results. You know why? Because talent on its own does not produce results. It is talent plus effort in the right activities that produces results. Are you preventing your own self from rising as a young adult? Because if you're keeping yourself in situations like this, you're in trouble. Number three, what is the third thing that you must conquer as a young adult if you're going to rise in this journey of life? You have to conquer what we call social conformity. Conquer social conformity. What does that mean? Conquer what average people around you are doing. I always say that if you want to lead your generation, make sure you are not doing what people in your generation are doing. You have to conquer social conformity. You see, when I began to when I began to take a different path in life, I had so many close friends in my early days in Kumbo, in the Northwest region, right? Guys that we grew up together, we used to play football together, we used to do, things that normal teenagers and even, high schoolers do together. But when I started getting myself exposed to some things by the grace of God, I started making some changes. And guess what? I know many of them laughed at me like, this sort of thing you're doing like this. It doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. Right? There was a time I gathered my friends and I was teaching them on time management. One of them told me clearly that your thing that you're teaching does not work here. Right. And I always share my story of I never used till I got to after high school. It was because of my best friend I had in high school that I started drinking alcohol because it was in the family I grew up in, my mother, if anybody in the neighborhood sends you as a child in the family to buy alcohol or to buy cigarette, you that you went, you're in trouble. And the person who sent you to buy the alcohol is in trouble. That's how I was raised, right? So alcohol was a no-go area. Don't touch it. Nobody should send you to buy it, and so on. But towards the end of high school, because of the friends I had, started drinking once in a while, but not. There was a day I drank just 2 bottles and I got drunk, right? So, but things like that. And then, like within few years, like 3 years, December 23rd, when I started getting myself exposed to some books and reading some things, December 23rd, 2012, I think, that was the last day that alcohol entered my mouth. Because I read a book and the guy asked a question and said, the current things you're doing right now, what will they contribute to who you want to be in future? So I stopped going, and my friends were like, and so they knew that I was going to church, right? They were like, that your church don't enter your head, right? Things like that. But what am I trying to say? There are things that I started doing because of social conformity, because I was doing what every average person around me was doing. And what took me a different route in life is that because most of those my friends, they're still in the same place, basically. I have most of those friends because there was a time in my life that I did Okada, right? Commercial motorbike riding. Many of those my friends, 20 years after, they are still doing Okada right now. And there are many of them I insisted, please, can you start going to evening high school or evening university? But many of them did not see the need. But by some means, I just understood the power of building, cognitive ability and skills and so on. So while doing all of that, I was doing Okada and paying my university school fees, right? But they did not see it as something important per se. So social conformity made me to start doing things that I was not raised to do. The same way as breaking out of that social conformity gave me a different path in life and destiny. Am I saying I'm perfect? No, I've made my own mistakes in life. And I'm still going to make them because as a human being, you're not perfect. But what I'm saying is that one thing you have to conquer as a young adult is you have to conquer social conformity. You have to conquer what average people are doing around you. If you want to lead your generation, you want them to run after you and seek for guidance and pay for what you know, or you create impact in their life, you have to make sure you are not doing what they're doing. Why? Because if you conform to what they're doing, you're going to be like them. That's why I always say that most people in life do not choose their ceiling. right? Most people, their environment will choose their ceiling for them. Basic example. It's a very popular thing in Cameroon because I've studied it. If you're here and you decided to study something in a university or your current career is as a result of what your mother or your father did, type me in the chat box. There are many people that became nurses and doctors because of father and mother, right? There are many people that ended up teachers because of father and mother. They did not dream big beyond what they saw. So their immediate environment gave them that ceiling. They did not choose that ceiling. If they grew up somewhere else in a different family, they would have had bigger dreams in life. You get the point. And that is another aspect of social conformity. It conforms you to begin to think and act and make decisions based on what you're seeing. You begin to cooperate unconsciously with that immediate environment. You see that? Now, why is this? Because you and I, we are social beings per se. Humans are social survival organisms. That is why during COVID-19 in 2020, one of the highest issues that was recorded was depression. Because many people for the first time, they were locked in their house on their own or with just three human beings for months. Some got into depression and they had problems with their mental health because human beings are social survival organisms, as biology will say it. You see, so you have to make sure that you conquer social conformity from your immediate neighborhood, from your immediate family, from your immediate country, from your classmates. Conquer social conformity. Why? Because when you detach from average patterns, when you detach yourself from doing what other people are normally doing around your life, I guarantee you, your trajectory in life will change dramatically. You want to change your trajectory in life. One of the easiest ways to do that is begin to detach from the average patterns of people around you. Make up your mind, all right, in this my immediate community, you know what? Everybody's drinking alcohol. Everybody at 22, they're having boyfriends and girlfriends. You begin to, you're going to see every society, every immediate environment has patterns. Patterns that directly affects everybody in that society. And if you don't break out from that social pattern, your life is going to end up almost like the same people in that same society. I was talking to a guy and I said, he was struggling with, drinking and a few things. And I said, look for somebody in your immediate neighborhood that is 20 years older than you, who is doing the same thing you're struggling with right now. And I said, that is your prophecy. There's always one grand frère for guys, right? There's always one grand frère in the neighborhood. And sadly enough, that grand frère is always inspiring younger guys. I don't understand why. Somebody who is a doctor, an accountant, doesn't inspire younger guys. Only one neighborhood grand frère drinking and smoking and doing fragrance, I would say in Cameroon, to people. That is what inspires most young guys. That is what social conformity is going to do to people. But there's somebody in the same neighborhood, maybe who is an accountant, a doctor, a nurse that can inspire you, but no, you're only seen by the other guy. You see, if you don't begin to conquer social conformity as a young adult, as you grow older on a daily basis, you will begin to slowly normalize whatever surrounds you. Not because you agree with it, But because what you consistently see, you see, what you repeatedly expose yourself to will become acceptable to you. So what you consistently see and experience, you will slowly normalize. There are people that started drinking because all their closest friends were drinking. They did not want to drink. If you can relate, type and relate. If you have been maybe smoking, drinking, having a girlfriend, a boyfriend, something that you know that you are not, it was not good for you at that time. But because of the people that surrounded you and you consistently spend time with them, before you knew it, you started slowly normalizing. Not because you agreed, you knew and you knew inside of you it was wrong. But that repeated exposure to what you were seeing made it to become acceptable to you. So as a young adult, you have to conquer that social conformity. If not, it will take you through the wrong path of life. You see that? Because environments are so powerful. See, let me tell you something. Listen to me carefully. If you want to ensure that a young adult never become anything in life, listen to me. If you're under 20, under 30, even under 40, if you want to ensure you never rise in life, surround yourself with people that avoid risk. Surround yourself with people that avoid risk. Number two, surround yourself with people that normalize distractions. Number three, surround yourself with people that normalize vices like alcohol, drinking, you know, um, sexual promiscuity, things like that. Normalize yourself with people who surround yourself with people that do that. Number four, surround yourself with people that spend money to impress people. They chase status and things like that. Next, surround yourself with people that normalize gossiping about other people. They are consumers, they are never creators. You see, the things I'm listing, they fall under what you can call behavioral economics. Behavioral economics. Certain behaviors that when you have in your life, they are going to affect you either positive or negative. Everybody has a behavioral economics that is either making them poorer or making them richer. Be careful with who you surround yourself with, because humans, it has been proven over and over. When you read psychology, when you read behavioral, research and documentations, it has been proven over and over that humans regress towards what they are surrounded with. Same as humans progress towards what they are surrounded with. You see? So, what is the social conformity right now that you must conquer as a young adult? Quickly, I have 3 more to go. I said 3 life domains that you have to start conquering as a young adult if you are going to rise and be a voice in when you begin to clock 20, 30 plus, right? The fourth area to conquer is what I call time illusion. Time illusion. Many young people struggle with this. There was a time I struggled with this. What is the time illusion? This saying, this myth that I am still young. That's time illusion. I am still young. If you don't conquer that time illusion, Life will shock you. Oh, life will shock you. I have had coaching with a few people that they're like in their early 40s, late 40s. And one of their regrets, what they call this midlife crisis, they're like, I just noticed that it's as if it just dawned on them that they are 40. They did not know that they were getting old every day. I'm telling you, it may sound so basic to you, but it's true. There are people. Wait, is there any older person here that you had that realization at what point in your life? Maybe you got to 40 to 50 and like, so I am not her. And then realize that you are 40, 50, and the things that matter, you don't have them. You have not developed them per se. I've had those kind of encounters. And then the people want to like, okay, what can I do now from this age to get back on track? So they have this time illusion that they're still young, just living life anyhow, partying, jumping, doing things. Listen to me carefully. Being young does not give you more time. No, it gives you what you can call elasticity, right? Elastic demand and inelastic demand, right? Being young does not give you more time. It just gives you more leverage. Because time is not just duration, time is leverage. And one of the most important understanding that you and I we need to have is that time is finite. Our time is finite. Our time is irreversible. This 1 hour, 30 minutes you are spending with me, it is irreversible. It is either making you better or destroying you. Your time is finite. Your time is limited. The biggest under 30 illusion or delusion is that I have time. And when you have that mindset, you will have so much unused time. There are many people in their 40s right now that when they think about their 20s and maybe their early 30s, they will see that they had so much unused and wasted time. And here is the sad thing about life. Unused time, wasted time compounds into regret later if you don't change. Let me say it again. The challenge about unused time or wasted time is that it compounds into regret later. Why is that regret? Because your time is finite. Your time is irreversible. So you're like, oh, look at how much I misused my 10 years, my early 20s, my late 20s. That's what gives you the regret. And begin to see that you have limited time. You see that? And it's the same as somebody who is making good use of their time in their early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, late 30s. When they're making good use of their time, that also compounds into something powerful. Let's say somebody at 22, you are building skills, the right skills at 22. When you are 32, it produces different results in your life. Let me tell you, if you're a young adult listening to me, you have to conquer casualness about time. Stop being casual about your time. Stop being casual about your 24 hours. If your 24 hours is too random, it's too empty, you are too casual about your time, and your time is irreversible, your time is finite. If that's your type, I repent. You don't have that much time. Let me tell you, if you're somebody who plans your life in decades, you will know that you don't have time. As you start planning, before you know it, you're going to see 2060, 2070. I am telling you. Before you know it, if you are somebody who plans your life in decades and you're a builder, if you take pen and paper right now and start planning things you want to achieve in life, before you know it, you will see yourself writing 2080, 2070, 2060. It will now dawn on you, you don't have that much time. You don't have that much time. Please, your youth is not for comfort. Your youth is for construction. It's for you to begin to construct your life, build capacity, invest time the right way. Let me say it again. As a young adult, your youth is not for comfort. Your youth is for construction. Your youth is for conquest. Be like Jesus. Be like Daniel. Be like Joseph. The fifth thing that you must conquer as we round up. I said, I'll give you 6 things. I have about 15 of them, but I cannot teach all of them, right? So the fifth one, the fifth thing that you must conquer if you're going to rise and clock 30 with something different and better. You see, the things I'm teaching, many times when I teach things like this, I always get feedback from the community of older people who are older, and they're like, you broke me with what you said, but you also challenged me that something can change. And that's the beauty about humanity. There are some things you can hear at 50, at 60, even at 70, because your brain can change. And if you decide that, okay, you know what, even though I'm hearing this late, the rest of this life, I am going to get it right. Your life can still change. If you're watching on YouTube, can you type clarity if you can hear me clearly? It's as if YouTube sound is not good. Well, from what we're seeing, as my team is saying. But if you can hear me clearly on YouTube, can you type the word clarity on YouTube? All right, why they're doing that. The fifth thing that you must conquer. Oh, I'm going to skip some things. All right. What I call random learning. You have to skip random learning. You see, because of the information age that we are in, many under 30s, they consume information without direction. Now, when you spend, let's say, 2 hours on TikTok and social media, 3 hours, and you're watching different videos, that is consuming information without direction. That is random learning. You see, there are people that they learn because something is interesting. They learn because something is trending. They learn because others are learning it. And that's the wrong way to learn. If you're going to rise in your generation, you cannot practice random learning. You have to practice what I call industry tailored learning. You have to practice project learning. You have to practice strategic capability learning. That means that you look at your life, you say, you know what, based on where I'm going to in the next 10 years, I need to learn these top 4 skills. If I have these 4 skills in my life, I am going to make it in what I'm learning. Right? You can practice what I call just-in-time learning, which is based on the current situation you are in, the current projects you're working on. You begin to learn because of that. And this is what saves you from, I've been talking about this for some time, what I call intellectual obesity. You see, a lot of information without application is going to lead to what I call intellectual obesity. So always learning. And many of you know that information is not power. It is applied information, structured information, executed information that can produce power. We talk a lot about value, right? Be a value creator, be valuable. What is value? Is simple. Value is skill applied to meaningful problems and situations. That's value. You have knowledge, you have skill, and you can apply that skill and that knowledge to meaningful problems and situations. That is what makes you valuable. Therefore, why am I saying that? If your learning does not convert into that skill, and that skill does not convert into meaningful result, your life is not going to produce testimonies and progress. You see that? And that is what leads to intellectual obesity. What is this intellectual obesity? In simple terms, I'm going to give examples. Intellectual obesity is excess intake of information and knowledge without proportional execution. That is intellectual obesity. Example, if you are listening to me and you are struggling from intellectual obesity, this is what is going on in your life right now. You read many books without projects that you're doing. So you're one of those people that you proudly say, I read 10 books every year. I read 15 books every year. Okay, and so what? What are the projects you are working on because of the books you're reading? An example of intellectual obesity is you are taking notes without execution. In the church, you take notes. Events like this, you take notes. You have notebooks everywhere. But we do, if we audit your life in the last 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, we cannot see steps that you have taken as a result of the notes that you have been taking from the events or the meetings you have attended. You consume YouTube videos, podcasts, you read articles, but there's no production, no implementation, no execution. Nothing is going on. You are suffering from intellectual obesity. And that does not produce results. And that happens because many people are learning randomly. See, let me give you one tip that will change your life when it comes to learning. Learn in response to responsibility. Learn in response to the life you want to build, the career, the business you want to build. Learn in response to the projects that you're working on. Learn in response to what you're building, what you're producing. Random learning is not good for your destiny. You see that? It's very important. And that is what makes you a voice and somebody of impact as you grow older. Lastly, number 6, and then we are done. I said I'm going to share with you 6 life domains that you have to start conquering before you clock 30 as a young adult, because it's important. All right. Number 6 is financial naivety or financial ignorance. One thing that you have to conquer is financial naivety or financial ignorance. Now, I'm not saying you should become rich very early in your, it's possible, but I'm not talking about getting rich quick, right? Most people that get rich quick don't stay rich. So this is not about becoming rich quickly. The purpose of conquering financial naivety or financial ignorance is to prevent you from experiencing economic captivity at the age of 40, 50, or 60. Many people that get their finances right at their older age is as a result of what they did in their early 20s, 30s, and 40s. That's why the average billionaire age in the world is, I think it's 55 or 60. Because when you begin to do the right things in your early 20s and 30s and 40s, by some means, you are not going to suffer from economic captivity. You're going to have economic independence. You see that? And one of the things that you have to conquer as a young adult when it concerns financial naivety or ignorance is, please conquer consumer identity. What does that mean? In this particular age group, many people develop their identity based on what they buy. Because you're wearing the right tennis, you're wearing the right shirt, all of that, you now feel as if you're a big boy. You're a hot chick. That's consumer identity. If you live like that, you're going to suffer economic captivity in future. Conquer lifestyle inflation. What does that mean? You have the mindset that the moment your monthly income increases, you now increase your expenses. The first thing that you increase as a person, when your income increases, is your expense. There's something wrong with your financial knowledge. It is called lifestyle inflation. You inflate your lifestyle the first thing when your income changes. The third thing you must conquer if you're going to, overcome financial naivety is what they call FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. Doing things to impress people, doing things to be in the know, doing things to fit in. You see, and that takes us back to consumer identity. You begin to define yourself by what you buy. You begin to measure your success by your visible lifestyle because you wear nice dresses, you wear nice shoes, you begin to feel as if you're doing well. And there's no substance to that feeling. What is manifesting in you is consumer identity. You're spending money to signal status. You buy things so that you force people to see that you're doing well in life. Meanwhile, in your house, you know you're doing terrible financially. You prioritize upgrading your comfort over upgrading your capability. That's financial naivety. In your early 20s, in your young adult age, your priority is not to upgrade your comfort. Your number one priority is to upgrade your capability. If you focus on upgrading your comfort today, there's a high chance you're going to struggle from, economic captivity. But there are some levels of capabilities that as you're building today as a young adult, it is going to be a blessing to you too. There's something I call financial doctrine for young people. I wrote this few years ago, and I'm going to talk about it, and then we end. Recommended financial doctrine for young people. You may not be able to do all, but it's good to know and start challenging yourself to do all of that. I did not do all of this, let's say in my early 20s, but I wish I knew these things, right? Financial doctrine to practice if you're a young adult, right? Number one, it's going to sound contradictory, but it's important. Number one, live below your capability. In other words, appear smaller than your potential and use wisdom. There are some rooms that you need to live up to your potential. But see, when you're a young person, there are some things that you cannot arrogantly do. It's going to close doors for you. And when some doors are closed on you, you're going to lose opportunities, financial opportunities. I'm not saying you should have low self-esteem, no. But use wisdom in certain rooms because you are too young to speak loudly. Listen more, understand more. Don't overshow capability because there's somebody in that room that has 30 years experience more than you. That's why at this particular age, even though you have the potential and the capability, have the heart and the mind of a servant. How can I serve? Don't try to show off. That's not for you. It's going to close doors for you and affect your finances, right? The second financial doctrine is build a runway. Build a runway. What does that mean? If you're already making money as a young adult, begin to train yourself to save, let's say, 3 to 4 months of your living expenses, right? Just train yourself to do that to the extent that if let's assume you need, let's say you're in Cameroon and you need on average 50,000 francs as your monthly expenses and basic things that you need to do with money. Can you save, 200,000 francs, which is 4 months of your living expense? And the idea is, what if your current source of income dies out? You have 4 months to live while you try to figure out yourself. Begin to train yourself to do things like that as a young person. And it's part of checking your appetite. It challenges you not to use money anyhow. The third financial doctrine, begin to think of ways you can invest early as a young person. It must not be big money. If you cannot buy a land yet in a big city, can you go buy a land in a village, somewhere cheaper? But just begin to train yourself to develop that muscle and develop that character of investing early. If you're in a developed country, let's say North America, UK, Germany, there are many platforms that you can even buy stock for $100 or $50. Can you begin to train yourself to do that at that age? It's going to challenge you. It's going to make you see that you can do more. All right? Begin to push yourself to do things like that. The fourth financial thing to do under financial doctrine is, this is very important, increase your income through your skill. Begin to create systems around you that can enable you to increase your income through your skill. Something simple as, what extra skill can you learn that can enable you to be more valuable or to make extra money? For example, you're listening to me and let's say you read marketing. All right, that's good. But do you know that if you add graphic design skill to your marketing or learn how to use AI and design, graphic design or branding materials, it is going to make you more valuable, and you can use your marketing knowledge plus your designing new skills, and you can start providing branding assets to businesses. You have just increased your income through that one skill. For somebody is maybe just learn public speaking. Just learn public speaking, add to your current skill. You're going to increase, a source of income to you in one way or another. You see, that is a good, important part of financial doctrine for a young adult. Number 5, there are 5 things in this financial doctrine. Number 5 is separate your identity from lifestyle. Separate your identity from your lifestyle. Many young people feel as if they are failures or as if they're struggling in life because they don't have what others have. Listen to me carefully. You are not what you wear. You are not your car. You are not the neighborhood that you live. You are bigger than that. Separate your identity from your lifestyle. It's going to bless you. All right. In simple terms, as a roundup, to conquer financial ignorance, begin to read books on economy, finance, wealth creation. They will help you to understand how to make money in different industries, how to keep that money, and how to multiply money. If you're going to conquer financial naivety, you must know these levels of money: how to make money, how to keep the money, and how to multiply the money. If you begin to conquer these things, your life will never, ever remain the same. So these are 6 major domains that if you pay the price to conquer these, it will bless you so much in this journey of life. All right, that is it, everybody, for day 2 of our Young Adults Convention. And I believe that this day 1, day 2 was a blessing to you. And if you found areas that you need to make serious, urgent shift, can you type urgent change in the chat box and in the comment section? If you found areas, if this teaching specifically spoke to you and you found areas to make some urgent changes, can you type urgent change in the chat box? And let me tell you something. All of these things doesn't mean that I am perfect or you start living a perfect life. The secret, to me, one of the biggest secrets of life is progress. Consistent progress on a daily basis. It makes you better. All right, I want to challenge you. Like I keep saying, please, the purpose of this young adult convention is that as you listen day after day after day, your routine should change. Your habits should change. Some things should start. So your mother, your father, your cousins, your nephews, your siblings should see something in your life that was not there 2 months ago because of these events. Even you yourself, something different should start manifesting in your life that makes you a better person as far as destiny is concerned. All right, everybody, we meet tomorrow as we look at it again. And tomorrow I'm going to share a link where people can ask questions. I'm going to announce the day that those who have questions can come on the show, or not on the show, on the Zoom session, and I will answer questions to those who need answers to questions. All right, especially the young adults in our community. My heart is to you, and our goal is that you should do better, because the community is fragmented. There are people in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. I think there's somebody in her 70s with us here, right? So it's a diverse community, but our heart is that if you're in your 20s, do better than us in our 30s. And those who are in their 40s are like, you know what, learn these things. And if you're in your 30s, do better in your 40s. Let there be a ripple effect of this particular growth and so on. But the challenge is everybody who listen, let something change in what you're doing. Please never minimize 5 years, 10 years. Doesn't matter how long you have left in destiny. If you decide today, I'm going to change something, your life will never remain the same. All right? Awesome. God bless you all. See you tomorrow, same time, 4 a.m. Cameroon time, 9 p.m. Central Time. And let's do this again for day 3 of our convention. Cheers.